I'm Ann Noble, and I am currently the company manager of Antaeus Theater Company. I am also an actress and a playwright and a screenwriter, and I also teach Shakespeare and storytelling to high school students in all walks of life. So I do all those things, and I try to rest, but it doesn't happen very often. My senior year of high school, when I did Hamlet, the class was a special class, and we read Madame Bovary, Hamlet, Crime and Punishment, and The Great Gatsby. They were the only 4 pieces of literature we read. And they really were all about heroes that had fallen or were struggling or, she connected all 4 pieces. And so it was the first time I really thought of Shakespeare as a character study, as a character journey. And she also encouraged us to write essays on each play and book, but it was the first time I really saw it as human beings struggling for something. It wasn't just these old pieces of literature we're reading. So I think that was the first time I really sort of got it. And she also encouraged us to read it out loud, like we would read passages from all the books out loud in class. It makes me look for depth in pieces of literature and not just blow past them or look cursory at things. It reminds me that any artist that's putting something down on paper, whether or not they're skilled or not, some people are just really passionate and write stuff and are not great writers, it doesn't matter. It teaches me to respect other authors and writers, regardless of their skill level. So anytime I'm approaching material, I pretend everybody's Shakespeare. Most of the time they're not, but it helps me to dive in and look for depth and look for meaning, and reminds me to look for humanity in things. It's been around for so long, and I watch how when we do Shakespeare here at Antaeus and we bring modern day high school students to see it, they're like, oh man, that's just like I experienced in school. That guy with the dad and the mom and he's mad at her. They get it. And so the fact that a piece of literature that's over 400 years old can do that to just a current modern day high school kid that's used to being on their phone, that says something. When I work with a lot of the teenagers, they want to use a lot of swear words because that's what they're used to. So can I encourage them to not just drop an F-bomb, but look at Shakespeare. What did Shakespeare use to insult people? What did Shakespeare use to express great longing or great passion or great frustration? So makes me up my game and encourage others to up their game. You have to, I think, have somebody in your life that will break it down for you and crack the code. Technically, that's not to say there's not people who just can jump into Shakespeare and do it, but I think it helps to give your brain something to do so you can just participate in what's really going on. And I think freedom, to be really free in our day and age, takes a great leap of faith. So I think it requires that if you're not willing to go this way and lean into the text and lean into what the characters are asking, you're always going to have a little bit of a, thou dost go that way. It's going to always be, you're going to be hitting the wall as opposed to just leaping over the wall. But I think that requires faith and trust. That's why I say if you have a mentor, somebody who teaches you, that gives you that first glimmer of trust that you can then really run with. So I think that's what it requires. I think you got to understand what you're saying and then be willing to say it with whole heart. Just go for it. Don't hold back. Just go for it. It may be wrong, it may be strange, but just go for it. I put it into a play of mine called And Neither Have I Wings to Fly. One of the characters does the monologue as a way to woo a young lass. And she's basically in love with this young man who is not her fiancé, and he does the monologue on stage. And I remember as a young woman, I was 23 when I wrote the play, I was like, can I really do this? Can I really put a Shakespeare monologue in a play of mine? Is that awfully pretentious? And it ended up being just the most wonderful thing. It was remarkable because I've seen over the years so many different actors do that piece. And so you're not only asking an actor to be in a play of mine, but also to do a Shakespeare monologue. Oh, what a rogue and peasant slave am I. Is it not monstrous that this player here, but in a fiction, in a dream of passion, could force his soul so to his own conceit that from his working, all his visage wand, tears in his eyes, distraction in his aspect, and his whole function suiting with forms to his own conceit. And all for nothing. For Hecuba. What's Hecuba to him, or he to Hecuba, that he should weep for her? What would he do? Had he the motive and the cue for passion that I have? He would drown the stage with tears. Make mad the guilty. Appall the free, and amaze indeed the very faculties of eyes and ears. Yet I, a dull and muddy meddled rascal, peak like John in dreams, unpregnant of my cause, and can say nothing, no, not for a king, upon whose property and most dear life a damned defeat was made. Am I a coward? Who calls me villain? Breaks my pate across, plucks off my beard and blows it in my face, tweaks my nose, gives me to lie the throat as deep as to the lungs. Who does me this? Or it cannot be, but I am pigeon-livered and lack gall to make oppression bitter. Or ere this, I should have fatted all the region kites with the slave's awful, bloody, bawdy villain, remorseless, lecherous, treacherous, kindless villain. Oh, vengeance! Why? What an ass am I?